with a meeting of two Mosconi Cup teammates. On the left, Jayson Shaw. On the right, Spain's David Alcaide. And joining me in commentary for this one is the one-pocket legend, Scott Frost. He's got 6 pockets to monitor this evening.
I'm happy to be here with a legend like yourself, Phil.
What a match, though. This could be a final. And I think Carl Boyes was actually on the button when he was talking in the preamble about Jayson Shaw. He didn't play well in his last match, but of course things can change quickly.
Yeah, and I think, you know, sometimes when you don't play well against an opponent, sometimes that opponent rubs off on you in certain ways. I'm not saying his opponent didn't play good, but he knows he has to get up versus Alcaide.
Yeah, we always say, don't we, that mistakes can be catching, and I think that was the case against Mustafa Alma. Nevertheless, Shaw came through 11-3, so it's a result that's not to be sniffed at. And he's unbeaten. He's played 3, won 3. He's won 29 racks for the loss of only 11, so plenty in the garden is rosy.
You almost feel like that was a bit of a mistake. You want to weld him up behind the 3 and 8. He did split the gap there. There's another look at his break. That's a good sign, the one firing in. Alcaide going to the air. He's got a full ball he's got to get over here, Phil. Oh, this might finish well. Oh, it did clear the 8, and the 2's open. And to start this shot off, all too important, he's going to be flirting with the 8 as far as his bridge is concerned. He's also got a contest with the brown 7. This will tell us how Shaw is feeling. Yeah, a little wide and a little quick. He is a quick-paced player, but the backswing seemed a little quick to me.
Alcaide comes to the table. He was the last match off on the opening night. He lost 9-7 in the early hours to Abdullah Al-Shamari, so immediately behind the 8 ball. But then he recovered on the one-loss side, beating Dimitris Lokatos of Greece 9-5 and Che Chia-Chen of Chinese Taipei 9-2. This afternoon he overcame Claudio Cacci, the younger brother of Eklund Cacci, 11-6.
David, a tactical genius. Real nice cue ball there. Shaw, well, he's going to hit this ball. He's got to find a way to create distance. I don't know that he can go from the left side. He's going to have to come to the right side, I believe. So he'd like to catch it full and maybe get the 2 down table. Below the right middle. All that while, I felt like he was going to catch the 2 pretty thin that way. Left it right over the corner. (4-7) tied up. And this isn't even straightforward. He's going to have to draw past the 6. Probably use the rail to come out with a low right ball. Right there, maybe entertaining opening the 7-4 up now. Boy, awfully dangerous. Tough enough to just get on the 3. Yeah, I think that's the right decision. Didn't land where he wanted. Sometimes you've just got to take what the table gives you.
I know everyone's very interested in the outcome of Table 4, so I will give you the news that Fedor Gorst, fighter extraordinaire, is on the hill against Amir Ali at 10-9. That after losing the first 7 racks.
Fascinating, Phil, and you and I talked about it. I said after you mentioned he was down 7-0, he had just won that game, so he was trailing 7-1. I said, well, it's a race to 11. I had a feeling that match was a long way from over.
Yeah, it would have meant so much to Amir Ali to get the result there because of the prestige of the player he's up against, let alone the prestige of the championship in which he's involved. So it was a double whammy for Ali. Oh, and it's a double whammy for Shaw.
Yeah, and to your point, Phil, just think about the reverse of that. What about Fedor Gorst going into his next match, if he happens to get this match down, going into his match trailing 7-0, coming back with the W? Wow. Confidence will be at an all-new high.
Other outside table news. Table 5, Hill, Robbie Capito and Ralph Souquet. Can the grand old warrior gain another victory?
Yeah, you want to talk about an amazing player in his prime, the surgeon, Ralph Souquet. I used to love watching him play.
Well, there's a link, of course, between Souquet and David Alcaide, the man we're watching right now. Alcaide, best known individually for winning 2 World Masters titles. Ralph Souquet won that tournament 6 times.
Yeah, what's that tell you? Such a fascinating player. The surgeon as well.
Yes, a man who leaves no stone unturned. Apparently the neatest packer as well of a suitcase you're ever likely to see.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, Alcaide looking good to me, Phil. I know this was pretty straightforward, but the vibe I get from him, looking good.
And the first rack falls to the Spaniard. He's 45 years of age now, David Alcaide, but he's got a very youthful approach to life. He's always smiling, very positive, hangs around with his protege, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. They're very similar in that regard, always a ray of light on the circuit. I think one thing that might be interesting, you know, Carl Boyes mentioned this, he was chatting with Jayson Shaw after Shaw's win over Mustafa Alner this afternoon. Shaw wasn't happy with the table. And guess which table it was on? Yes, this one. He beat Alner on table 1 and he's back there on a table he doesn't particularly like.
Yeah, and I don't know, Phil, I'll just be honest, I don't know if it's necessarily the table versus the air conditioning. I was actually the first person he came to in the middle of that match. He had to move his chair about 3 feet over or 4 feet over because the air was coming straight down on him. He was freezing. Come up to me and said, hey, will you please try and get somebody to turn the air down?
Yeah, that was definitely a consideration, but also he did mention to Carl he didn't like some of the reactions he was getting. He couldn't quite work them out. But you know, if Shaw starts to fire, everyone can watch out. Inspirational player. David Alcaide not inspired by that. The 9-ball spoiling his fun.
Yeah, interesting situation here, Phil. The push out, really dangerous due to where the 1 is. So he's got to go to the jump cue. I think he's got to entertain the rail first doing this. It's going to make the 1 a bigger ball than trying to go straight at it. And that's what he's looking at now. It'll also carry position if he hits this correctly. You know, the push out just really risky where the 1's at. You know Shaw, well, he'll take it on. From this angle, doesn't look too difficult. Just got to clear the 9.
forces the 1 ball in. He's on the 2. The angle for the 3 might be there. All looking good for Alcaide at the moment. Looking very good for Billy Thorpe. He started his last 32 match against Mickey Krause by winning the first 3 racks. Rapido.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a pretty good draw. Nothing against Mickey. He did beat FSR, as I witnessed. We all witnessed this afternoon, but Billy in the practice room all afternoon today. Not surprised.
Clever shot there from Alcaide. He potted it on the thick side, which meant he held the cue ball a little easier than he might have done had he potted the 2 into the middle of the pocket. And now 2-0 is very much beckoning.
Yeah, it is, and that shot he just played is also clever. Knew he was going to miss the 4, carry the angle to come back over for the purple. Looks really good. Like we all know, he was struggling at the PLP. Doesn't seem to be slowing down here.
I think he's one of those players, Scott, and I think you might well agree. He's one of those players who is assisted when he has a shot clock. Now, we know the shot clock is not on this table, but sometimes it makes Alcaide's mind up for him. He can get bogged down and a little too slow for his own good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy and I have talked about that as well, and you're 100% on the money. I think that at times, without a shot clock, he can talk himself out of certain situations. Here, he's going.
David Alcaide, a match for anyone, and he's taken the first 2 racks from Jayson Shaw. By the way, although Shaw is in early trouble here, we are guaranteed 1 Brit in the last 16, because later on tonight Chris Melling will face Elliot Sanderson. The 2 Englishmen will go head to head, so one of them will emerge victorious.
Yeah, that'll be a barn burner. Both of those players pretty emotional. Gotten to know Elliot quite a bit lately. Smart young man, very talented. Love it when he celebrates. He wins a match. Don't worry, the room's going to know about it.
As they did this afternoon, although when he beat Roland Garcia, quite comfortably actually, his shout, yes, it was discernible, but it wasn't quite as energised as yesterday when he came through 9-8 against Mustafa Alda in winners' qualification. That was a scream of delight.
No, this man's going to be tough to beat. Didn't hit him real hard. Gotta wonder if Jayson... Yeah, look at the smirk on Jayson's face. I don't think it was intentional. He just didn't hit him too hard. The result was great. The 1 dropping in the left middle. Look at this, Phil. Everything leading to the next. If he gets on the pink 4.
Yes, he's not been as high profile or as prolific a winner as Shaw over the years, but he's had an awful lot of success. Reigning European Open champion, he will defend that title in Fulda, Germany in August. As we mentioned, the 2 World Masters crowns in 2017 and again 2 years later. He's been on multiple winning Mosconi Cup teams.
A little tricky. He should be fine here. He's just a little straighter than he wanted to be, and that's the result. Really quick in the final backswing. I wonder if we'll get a replay of this, but the final backswing was real quick. Typically when David makes a big error like that, he gets fast in the backswing. Distance or the long ball can be David's demise at times. Not the man at the table though, Phil.
No, I agree though. There's no doubt about it. In terms of pure potting ability, Shaw is the better player. No doubt.
Well, this is going to tell us a lot. He needs to get this down. Oh, he's caught it way thick, Phil.
And like all players who are inspired, who can be brilliant, he does have bad days.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's well said. We all have bad days. It's going to happen. And Alcaide does have the gap. I like how he hit that with authority. Didn't give it any opportunity for a miss hit. Yeah, so Shaw looking a little bit off here early. Yeah, pretty aggressive there too.
David Alcaide has spent some time in the commentary box over the years, you know, for Eurosport, the Spanish language snooker he covers. Don't think he's doing a lot of it right now, but he has done in the past.
For the most part, Phil, I really like what I see from Alcaide. A little bit surprised about Shaw right now. I'm sure he'll pull through it, but a little bit iffy.
Three 0, the Alcaide hat-trick to start the match. Now, I can't wait any longer. I have to tell you the score. Fedor Gorsht, 7-0 down. He has beaten Amir Ali 11-9. Talk about going to the well repeatedly. What a tough tournament it's been for him, but he's still standing, Scott.
Yeah, he's still standing, and you've got to wonder what this is going to do for his confidence. I mean, think about that. Think about that. He's 7-0 down. I mean, if he's 3 down in his next match, or 3-0 down, that won't feel like anything.
So he plays next this evening against Chang Yulong from Chinese Taipei, who beat Joniuski of Finland 11-9. Just 2 last 64 matches still going on. Hunter Lombardo leads Mario He 7-6. Capito and Suke still in their decider. Making sure everything about the rack is as good as it possibly can be, and that's so vitally important, Scott.
Yeah, continue to study Alcaide's face, and he really seems focused. Really does seem focused. Looks like a completely different man from the last event I covered him on. Well, as soon as I say that, well, how are things going for Alcaide? This could have easily went in the drink, Phil.
The overhead camera shows that cue ball almost defying gravity. It seems as though it's more than halfway over the lip. It isn't, obviously, but...
No, it sure seems like it, though. Boy, what a tester here. Does he trust the table and just roll this? I think he's got to. Oh, nicely done, Mr. Shaw.
From across the arena, we know that Capito and Suke, we know their match is complete. We don't know who's got the verdict. We can't see from our position. The crowd disperse. As soon as we know, you'll know.
Yeah, they're a long ways from us. Capito putting his cues away on the table. I can't see Ralph.
Well, unlike certain other players we talked about shouting in the moment of victory, you'd never see that from Ralph Souquet. He's very reserved.
Well, then that should probably tell us a lot. Oh no, Jayson Shaw catching the point. Does he have a look at the 4-9? Oh, just what the doctor ordered for Jayson Shaw.
Scott Jayson Shaw got the point, and he got the rack as a direct result. He puts his first rack on the board. David Alcaide's lead is now 3-1. And I can tell you, guess who won? The Kaiser.
I was going to say, Phil, that match was such a grind. He's been through so much. That was a huge win. The Kaiser letting out a little emotion.
Yes, Ralph Souquet through by 11 racks to 10. So that leaves only one last 64 match out there. Hunter Lombardo playing some of the pool of his life. The American leading Austria's Mario He, 8-6.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
I think it's always the case, isn't it, when you get down to single elimination, the tournament comes alive because every match has massive jeopardy.
Yeah, Phil, we were just talking about that on center stage. There's so much to discuss. There's so much to watch. The energy in the room just completely changes. Everything getting a little bit more intense. Oh, wow. Great sign for Shaw. The one is down.
By the way, thank you for supporting the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel in such large numbers over the course of the week, and indeed the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel as well, which is trained on table 2. We don't know what the next match is on this table, but as soon as the news comes through, we'll impart it.
Yeah, this is close. Going to go behind the 7 here? Yeah, he's going to try and get him behind the 7. He's got a lot of room to do it. Only thing is, Phil, the 2's laid up on that right long rail. It's actually a big ball. Alcaide, we all know the Spaniard, real good at a game called 3 cushion. Well, that means he's real good at kicking as well.
Those top 3 cushion guys defy belief. I know our colleague David Hendon has done an awful lot of commentary on 3 cushion, and he's hugely impressed, and he can't fail to be.
Yeah, fascinating game, 3 cushion. I got addicted to it for some time, several years back.
Of course, Scott, you're the king of one pocket. In that game, there's no pockets.
There's no pockets. Yeah, I was a bit confused the first few times I played. Boy, I feel like there's a path here. Yeah, and I feel like he can do this. Obviously, I think the pink 4 is a bigger problem than the yellow 9. Okay, look at this. So he's looking to bend the cue ball below and around the purple 5. How has he hit it, Phil, with position?
You know, when we do ITV snooker, we have a feature called Hot Shots. All of the best shots of the week we include. That was a hot shot.
Yeah, no doubt, right away. Thought the decision was pretty aggressive. He didn't have much of a choice. That might really get him going. concern. From the 5 to the 6, he's got to get out. At least towards the center here. He's okay if he ends up straight in on the 5. Oh, looking pretty good, Mr. Alcaide. Doesn't like the angle. Tells me he's got just the wrong angle. Yeah, so really going to need to power this if he doesn't think he can cheat it. You can cheat draw this ball if it's laying right. Oh, and he's stretched as well. Pretty good from there, Phil.
In his opening match, he seemed very tentative, as though he was overawed by the occasion, and you can understand why. It's a huge occasion. But tonight he seems like his old self. He seems like his Mosconi Cup self.
Yeah, seems a lot looser than I've actually seen him in months. Oh, he's overcut it.
I thought he might be saved by leaving really awkward cueing over the 9-ball, but not even that.
You can't give the man at the table too many opportunities. That was an opportunity to really start closing the door. You just can't make that mistake if you're Alcaide. Caught it too thin. That's why the cue ball crashed into the 9. If he hits it where he's supposed to, it's automatic. Might have to go rail first here. Yeah, and that's what he did. He needs it to travel. Oh boy. Sure are having this cue ball cleaned a lot, aren't they?
Yes, that was definitely a feature of the Shane Van Boning match this afternoon that Scott and I commentated on over on the main table, where now, by the way, Mohamed Soufi is 2-1 up on Badr Alawadi.
Pretty cagey. Is the cue ball going to leak out? David, very good at chipping the edge of these balls. If you can see a piece of the 8, Phil, I look for him to get back up table with the cue ball. Oh, he can see almost all of it. Oh, this is a shot he played at the PLP. Everybody thought he got away with it or got lucky. He actually ended up freezing his opponent behind the 9. Well, he didn't get lucky because he just played it again. Used a check side English, killed it off the second rail into the back of the other object ball.
Big rack, this. And Shaw, the great potter, just isn't firing. It was tough, yes. It was high on the scale of difficulty, but he's such a good potter, you expect him to do something special.
Yeah, this isn't exactly straightforward either. Much easier than the one Shaw just faced. Cue ball naturally gonna come around 2 rails. No, he's up for it.
The 9 follows the 8. David Alcaide leads 4-1. As we've seen already today, this is still very early days in the race to 11. But Alcaide must be feeling a whole lot better than his rival right now. Let me give you the last 32 scores. Billy Thorpe 4-1 over Mickey Kraus. Dang Junhu and Lee Van Cortese have shared the first 4 racks. Mohamed Soufi now 3-1 up on Badr Alawadi. As I speak, Lee Van Cortese taking a 3-2 lead over Dang. It's 3-1 for Johan Chua over Max Lechner. Eklund Kachi 2-1 over BJ Ussery. And just as Fedor Gorsht and Joshua Filler fight back from big deficits to stay in the tournament by winning their last 64 matches within the last hour, another massive name is plunged into the mire. Ko Ping Chung finds himself 4-0 down to Mark Beisterbosch.
This is just crazy, some of these deficits. Yeah, Filler trailed 9-4 at one point. Obviously Federer 7-0. Now, another one that I had picked to possibly win it, Ko Ping Chung, trailing 4-0.
Well, Beisterbosch was runner-up in the Spanish Open last year to Dang Junhu, and I can tell you what, if his break is working, he can be a match for anyone. His break-off is explosive. I always think his break-off is rather like his surname, Beisterbosch.
I like it, Phil. And Jason Shaw doesn't like this. Alcaide getting a good look at the 2. I don't believe he's going to play it aggressively, but his break is looking real nice. Now he's taking a look, Phil, at playing the 2 to the lower left. I feel like that's a little bit haphazard. Is he going to go up towards the 8 here with a defensive shot? Yeah, that's more like it.
In last year's World Nineball Championship in Poland, it was a similar story actually. Jason Shaw looking good in his first 3 matches, got to the last 32, and then suddenly it all fell apart and he was beaten 11-10 by Canada's John Morra.
Yeah, in all fairness, Jason Shaw, man of many hats. He's got a lot going on, many irons in the fire. Sometimes wonder how he does it. Boy, that was also way off the mark.
Yeah, a Scot. He's based in Connecticut in the USA in the Northeast. He has a new pool room in Dubai, doesn't he? Named after him, and they're going to have a ranking event there at the conclusion of the championship. He's also constantly trying to break his own straight pool record, isn't he, with the number of balls spotted.
Yeah, he doesn't stop, and then also a father and a husband.
And European Mosconi Cup captain.
Yeah, that too.
Multitasking, I think they call it, Scott.
Yeah, slightly. I think he's okay with just stopping right here. Maybe come back an inch or 2. Yeah, he's good. Games ago, we did see Alcaide miss a ball up in the top right, similar to where the 7 is now. I believe it was the 4. It's a little closer to the rail. I don't think he's going to miss the one up the rail this time.
4-1 is now 5-1. And Jayson Shaw, the great British hope in this World Nineball Championship here in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, is in some form of trouble, especially with David Alcaide playing so tidily. The last 64 match continues on. It's over on table 8. Hunter Lombardo moving ever closer to the winning line. He leads Mario He 9-7. Billy Thorpe's lead reduced to 4-3 over Mickey Kraus. 4-2 now for Lee Van Corteza over Dang Junho. 4-1 for the flying machine that is Mohamed Soufi. He plays so quickly. Johan Schur 3-2 over Max Lechner. 2 each, Eklund Kachi and BJ Usuri. And Koping Chung has got a rack on the board against Mark Barstebosch. The Dutchman leading 4-1. Got some really good games later on, the likes of Joshua Filler, who takes on Oscar Dominguez. Anton Raga awaits either Lombardo or He. Fedor Gorst will play Chang Yulong, and as I said before, the all-British clash between Chris Melling and Elliot Sanderson. The one ball not in. In fact, nothing's in. Dry. By the way, the one player we haven't mentioned, one of the great characters of the World Nineball Tour, Naoki Oi, he was well behind against Alexa Pachelsch, but he came through 11-10 this afternoon, and he now plays Portugal's João Grillo. That's in the next wave of matches. Against many other players it might be no damage done, but this kind of shot is normally meat and drink for sure. Normally, but this hasn't been a normal match. He's been somewhat subdued to say the least, and again he's getting the cue ball cleaned. Obviously picking up chalk. Oh, that's silky. Wonderful pot from Eagle Eye. Now will that one ball be the catalyst for better things? Little short on the 4. The knock-on effect, he made contact with a 7, but it's not blocking the 5. Cue ball is a little close to the side cushion though. It may be a little early to start talking about imperative racks to win, but I think from Shaw's perspective this is a must-win rack. He requires something to lift his spirits. A much better rack for Jayson Shaw, all set up by that well-cued one ball. So 5-2 Alcaide. Mario He fighting back against Hunter Lombardo in the lone last 64 match still going. Lombardo leading 9-8. Eklenkachi has regained the lead against BJ Usuri at 3-2. Max Lechner had a slow start against Johan Chua, but now back on level terms. Parity achieved at 3-3. And the same applies for Mickey Kraus. He's back on level terms with Billy Thorpe. He was off to that flyer, leading 3-0 in no time. Just a reminder, if you require it, the first prize here is $250,000 US dollars. The runner-up receives $100,000 US dollars, which is $40,000 more than FSR won as champion last year.
Yeah. Quarterfinalists are $27,000 apiece. The last 16 are locked in at $15,000. Shaw goes straight in the middle.
Yes, as we were talking about Cash, he was most certainly not on the money with that shot. I think he gave out a sarcastic good shot to himself. David Alcaide is not complaining at all.
You know, Carl really talked about how poorly Shaw played, winning that match earlier today, 9-3. I glanced over there quite a bit, and I didn't think he played that bad, but he just doesn't seem real sharp to me by any means right now.
Well, I didn't see the match because obviously I was commentating at the time, but Carl was adamant that he played very, very poorly, and he basically said that he was able to win so comfortably because Mustafa Alner, having had a good championship by and large, just didn't turn up.
Yeah, well, Alcaide would have liked to have gotten a little higher on this three. He can come out towards the center. He wants to get thinner on this four so he doesn't have to deal with the 9. So the further out to the center he gets here, the better. That looks a bit weak, Phil. Is he there? Almost looked like he decelerated just a bit. Body language tells me he's fine, and this angle tells me he's fine as well. Yeah, he bent the cue ball there. Maybe a little more than he wanted. He should be fine. One rail back up for the 6 in the top left. Maybe a touch of a high right ball. Looks like he's center ball, but I think he'll move. Yeah. I thought he'd go to a high cue ball there. He was center, like he had to stun it one rail up. It looked natural with a high ball. Putting the stun on it, in a way, killed the cue ball. Does he take the bank on? This was off by some margin.
Yeah, for someone who's known for one of the most famous banks in 9-ball history, that was a skew. It came off the cushion so narrow.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. If there was ever anything to get Shaw going or loosening him up, it's this. Alcaide knows it. You don't want this guy getting loose on you. Wow, he came all the way back. Didn't want to take the cut from there. Had to hit that ball clean to do what he did. He and Skylar Woodward, a couple other players, get the most out of the shot he just shot there on the 8. Very little effort to get back out towards the center.
Yes, the bank from David Alcaide that was nowhere near cost him. It's now 5-3 in favour of the Spaniard. Not in terms of style, never, because these two are very different in that regard. But in terms of where they stack up, what's happened to them, they are similar. Jayson Shaw, World Nineball Tour number 5. David Alcaide 8th in those rankings. They're having to play in the last 32. Just how harsh is that? Also, they've had lots of Mosconi Cup heroism. I think Alcaide's more efficient, whereas, as you say, Jayson Shaw, if he can get on a roll, sometimes he's hard to comprehend. The other thing they have in common, both of them last year won a major World Nineball Tour ranking event, 256 entrants, and they emerged as the last man standing. Shaw at the Hanoi Open, David Alcaide at the European Open, both after epic finals.
Shaw breaking good. He's not coming away with a good shot, though. Last 2 trips to the table after the break, he's either had to roll out or play safe on the 2. And look at the 3, Phil. Along with the 6 and 8, this rack, a bit of a mess. And that gives you any idea how big of a mess it is. Very rarely will you see these guys just leave a wide open object ball for their opponent.
Yeah, I think with Jayson Shaw, he's not the kind of animal who enjoys pushing out. It's just not his scene.
Yeah, he is not entertained at the moment.
It's like a fan of heavy metal turning up at a classical concert.
I don't think he wants to make this ball. Yeah. Well, he's got cover on the purple 5. Shaw gonna whack at this. Oh, he's caught it thin. The last thing he wants is a scratch. This could give an opportunity to Alcaide to open everything up. That was disaster. Now, he's got decisions to make. You might want to just take your opportunity now to remove the 3. Doesn't really do you any good to lay him up behind the 6 now, because you're going to remove the 2. So then the opportunity to open the 3 up kind of goes away. Well, this is better than his first decision. Could just lay up in between the 3 and 6. The 9 and 5, causing Shaw problems with the one rail kick. Not only that, Phil, he could lay the 2 up between the 4 and 5. Or excuse me, the 4 and 8. This will be really nasty if executed.
The mindset of Alcaide to inflict maximum pain.
Yeah, maximum pain it is. He has cut everything off. Shaw immediately going to a mass A.
No, frozen, yeah.
Oh,
Certain baseball players can't hit the curve. No problem for Jayson Shaw.
wow, very, very fun to watch. He shot a shot similar to that in Hanoi that's gone viral on YouTube. He didn't quite get there, just missed the object ball, but he massaged all around the table. Well, this one, beautiful. Well, Alcaide said, do it again. Does have a 2-rail line up around the 7. I don't think the 9 is in the way. What's he got up his sleeve here, Phil? Is he going to do it again? Or does he have some type of a jump kick?
I think because he's coming diagonally off that long rail, massaging is actually more difficult here than it was previously.
Yeah, so he's jumping a piece of something here. Uh-oh.
Highly tactical rack gives him the opportunity to tell you in that last 64 match that's still going on. Mario He now back on level terms with Hunter Lombardo at 9-9.
Well, Alcaide, speaking of 9-9, he is going at the 9.
The 9 was in motion and it went right towards the middle pocket and dropped in. 2-9 combination. David Alcaide wins the tactical tussle and he now leads by 6 racks to 3. He's doubling up on Jayson Shaw. Last 32 scorelines. Mickey Krause and Billy Thorpe 5-5. Dang Jinhu, many people's dark horse to lift the trophy on Saturday. He's 5-4 up on Lee Van Corteza. Mohamed Soufi 5-2 on Badr Alawadi. Another match tied up. Max Lechner and Johan Schur at 4-4. Same story, although a little slower in terms of racks played. Eklund Kachi and BJ Usseria 3-3. And now Mark Bosch de Bosch. He's keeping Koping Young Chung at arm's length. It's 5-2 in favour of the Dutchman over the reigning US Open champion.
Yeah, Phil, well, I've got to say it. BJ Ussery doesn't get the credit he deserves. The young man's a grinder. He's been around a long time. I know I called him a young man. Well, he's playing a lot of young men. He was nervous about playing Kachi. I said, man, you're not playing Kachi. You're playing the table. Seems to be holding his own. 3 games apiece.
Yes, and of course, if you were to beat Kachi, he would move into serious contention for a Mosconi Cup debut. Lots of water under the bridge before that happens, but major ranking points on offer here. We've talked about the money a lot, but it's also the ranking points, the doors that they open.
Yeah, well said. BJ, very content with being an underdog in any match he plays. He's told me numerous times he just wants to slide under the radar, make Team USA.
Well, he's from North Carolina. Of course, the Mosconi Cup this year for the first time in Orlando, Florida. Just a trip down I-95. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia into the Sunshine State.
Yeah, I like what he did there. Wanted to get down just a fraction more, I think, on the 3. Notice the pink 4 up on the top right. Tied up with the 7. I think he's got the angle to go towards the 7, though. Yeah, he did real good with the 2. Well, this is a bit short.
Yes, he's not a player with great cue power. He certainly didn't punch that enough, didn't widen the angle enough to make contact on the 7 and therefore promote the 4 into open play.
Yeah, I think if he falls a little bit more shallow on the 3, he's got a better line. To your point, not a big power player. I don't know, Phil, can you just flick the pink? Stay behind the 7?
Yes, he can. Nothing available on the 4 ball directly for sure.
This might not get a rail, and it hasn't. Jayson just doesn't seem amused to me. I mean, his energy just, I don't know what's going on. It's been from the beginning of this match, it's felt like.
I just wonder, all kinds of stuff can come into the equation, can't they? I just wonder whether it was returning to this table after he's, well, not bad experience this afternoon. He won the match 11-3, but there are plenty of tables out there, and yet he's back on the one he was a few hours ago.
Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of people think that Shaw's favored by Matchroom. It's definitely not the case, and that's proven here. Alcaide like that to carry just a little bit more. Get behind the green 6.
No.
Asking if the pink was frozen. Should make a good hit here. Got a good chance to get safe. I don't know if he hit it hard enough to get safe. Boy, a little firmer. He gets up past the brown.
Mario He on the hill against Hunter Lombardo at 10-9.
It's a little firm. Still tricky. Yeah, if he elects to come behind the 8 here, the 4's definitely going to come out. Wow. I think that went all types of wrong for Shaw. Did he get cover on the 9? What I mean, Phil, is I just don't believe that he played the 4 over to that long rail. I think he was trying to get closer to the back of the 8. Things just kind of going Alcaide's way, though, right? Got away with that.
Yeah, there's no doubt in this match he deserves his lead. but he has had some nuanced luck. Not some outrageous luck, but some nuanced luck.
Yeah, he's going to need a little bit more here. If he makes good contact, a lot of good things can happen. Catching the top half of a 4 would be ideal. I didn't think he could get enough past the 6, and this is going to turn out good. And this has gotten in a spot where the rail first option really tricky. So I don't know if you can call that good fortune. I feel like that was a real good hit. Alcaide known to kick the ball real well. He had that in mind.
There's no doubt with the amount of times that Jayson Shaw is having the cue ball cleaned that he's noticing something on it.
Yeah, I agree. You don't see that from him very often. So something bothering him there as well.
Table 1 in the corner of this terrific venue. I think it's one of the best, the World Nineball Tour, if not the best venue we've ever been to.
Yeah, that was a tall order. I think he's gotten away with it. Kind of gave the hand like he apologized, but pretty good contact. And back to what you just said, Phil. For me, it's the best venue I've ever been to.
It's the perfect dimension. It's large enough for multiple tables, but small enough to have that intimate quality.
Yeah, and it's all the small details, right? The fan zone, the VIP rooms, the way the people treat you. It's a special place.
Well, they're doing ice cream in the fan zone. Haagen-Dazs.
How do you know, Phil?
I was there last night, indulging. 2 scoops, strawberries and cream, vanilla. Lovely.
Sounds good. All right. Coming in the back of the 4 here. Uh-oh, an opportunity for Shaw.
Yes, a golden opportunity. He's not been firing, and yet if he rattles off these balls, which he most certainly should do, he's only going to be 2 adrift at 6-4.
Just doesn't want to land straight on the 8. And he was highly aware of that. He wants the cue ball cleaned again. So maybe a slight skid there. That's why he landed so short.
Yes, skid is the pool term. Kick is the term that we use in snooker, but they're the same thing. Unwanted. In snooker, the number of kicks has been drastically reduced over the last few years with the advent of Taum chalk, which not all of the players are using, but the vast majority. Yeah, kicks have been reduced, and so too lively bounces off cushions. And it's a little more lively now for Jayson Shaw. David Alcaide leads 6-4. The scratch costing him rack 10. I think Jayson Shaw is taking a little bit of a timeout, so that gives me the opportunity to give you up-to-date scores. Mickey Kraus 6-5 up on Billy Thorpe now. Thorpe made a very quick start, but Kraus is finding his feet. Dang Junhu, he beat Mark Bosch in the final of the Spanish Open in Lugo last year. It really was a blockbusting match. He's a fine player, and he could go all the way. Mohamed Soufi's lead over Badr Alawadi of Kuwait reduced to 5-3. Johan Chua back in the ascendancy against Max Lechner at 6-4. Just about to begin on table 4, Jeffrey Ignacio and Patrick Gonzalez, the two Filipinos crossing cues. Eklund Kachi 4-3 up on BJ Usuri. There we can see Max Lechner trying to bridge the gap against Chua. Tough match to call that when we started out. Mark Bosch 6-3 now over Koping Chung. Now the match is just beginning. Pius Labutis against Wojciech Szewczyk. Lithuania against Poland, and Japan against Portugal in Naoki Oi and Zhao Griot. Lechner had a really good win last night to be in single elimination. He overcame Skylar Woodward. As for this afternoon, it was another hard-fought affair. He beat Dennis Grabber 11-8. He has been to a US Open final. But of course, Johan Chua, in partnership with James Arenas, has won a Matchroom Major, the World Cup of Pool for the Philippines. Funnily enough, around this time last year. So last 64 and last 32 today. Tomorrow, the penultimate day of the championship, we'll have the last 16 matches in the afternoon, the quarterfinals at night. Then it's semi-finals on Saturday afternoon, the grand final on Saturday night, a race to 15 for a first prize of $250,000. And effectively it's more than that, because if you're European, it books your passage into the Mosconi Cup and the Reyes Cup. If you're an American, Mosconi Cup, here you come. You're definitely going to be in the World Masters next year, which is the top 14 in the World Nineball Tour rankings plus a couple of wild cards. So the total value of winning on Saturday, apart from feeling $1 million, if you pardon the pun, the actual financial value is around $300,000 in just the guarantees I've mentioned. Now the referee there racked up the balls, but Jayson Shaw said to him before he went to the restroom, "Can I see you rack the balls when I come back?" So the referee doing just that, under the watchful eye of Eagle Eye. And to the uninitiated, Scott, we can't overstate just how important a clean rack is.
Yeah, I agree. You get the sense Jayson hasn't been comfortable. And I'll tell you, from a player's perspective, when the balls start to grab, twist, and turn a little bit, and you see that with the naked eye, it will make you hesitant. Well, wow. What an opener here.
Break and runouts have been at a premium. I was about to say we should see one here, and then Shaw, because he hit the object ball too thick, the cue ball didn't travel enough, and he's left himself horribly awkward over the pink 4.
Yeah, and he dramatically decelerated as well, Phil. He did hit the object ball too thick, but I don't know if it ever really had the pace he wanted to begin with. He'd have been happier way out in the middle of the table.
Using the 9 as a buffer to hold the cue ball in mid-table.
Yeah, and there's a lot we could all learn from that shot, Phil. A lot of amateurs, including myself, would probably try and go forward, rolling the cue ball 2 rails. He stunned it. A little easier to make the ball. Probably a lot easier to make the ball.
And now this is the linchpin pot of the rack.
Anywhere out. Just below the left center. He needed this. If you're a Jayson Shaw fan, you've still got hope.
Yes, genuine hope. A break and run out for Jayson Shaw. Now he wants more of the same as he breaks off in rack 12. The last 64 is over. Mario He comes back from behind late on to beat Hunter Lombardo 11-9. So many tight matches in the last 32. The only semblance of a runaway is a very surprising scoreline. Mark Bosch-de-Bosch 7-3 up on Ko Ping Chung.
Kiss from the pink 4 on the 2. He's got the 1 down. Pretty straightforward safety play here. If he can get past the double kiss on the 2, he can lock him up behind the pink 4. It's a little touchy. And he's hampered over the 8 as well. All ball fouls. Doesn't want to catch anything with his shirt or anything like that. Yeah, so he must not like it, Phil. Trying to cinch him up behind the 4. Might be a little straight to do that. You'd have to cut the 2 to the right just a fraction with an inside ball.
Just had a thought, you know, if you're Jayson Shaw's coach, just tell him this is the Turning Stone Classic. I think he's won it 9 times. Just hypnotise Jayson Shaw and tell him he's in New York State.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever lost it. Well, that's the shot I was talking about. He just didn't feel good over it. I thought it laid right, and the way he played it tells me it did lay right. Very rare situation where Shaw might have talked himself out of a good play.
Yeah, wholesale misjudgment there, catching the two incorrectly, not getting the hook, which we thought was all but guaranteed.
Wow, does the 2 pass the 9? Having a good look at it now. Now he's looking to the lower left.
And how momentum can shift. Good 2-ball, and look at the pace on the white. I'm not going to say perfect, but as near as.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot. He had to swerve to the 2 to begin with. I don't think he had a full pocket either. Well, this is weak. Need the cue ball cleaned again. Pretty strange, Phil, because these tables are flawless. Like, typically, everything is very clean. One thing I will say, which I was surprised about when I touched down here in Jeddah, it's very, very humid here. Very humid here.
Yes, we're in a beautiful country for its abundant sunshine, and we're right next to the sea, so consequently the humidity levels are quite high. Jeddah, by the way, is home to the very busy port that we drive next to each day on the way from the hotel to the venue. It's the second biggest city in Saudi Arabia, and there's been a settlement here, Scott, since the 6th century BC, just before Ralph Souquet was born.
You gotta stop, Phil. You're killing me. Oh, pretty clever. Classy shot there, going into the purple 5. Turning out perfect. He can draw back for the 6 now. I don't see much slowing him down here.
Yeah, just going back to the port here, it's the second busiest in the entire Middle East.
Yeah, that's saying something, because they have a lot going on out here. He's going to have to drift down with an inside ball just a little bit here, I think. Yeah, very well done.
It was all about that too. First, Shaw's inability to get the hook. Then Alcaide's slice of magic. (7-5), 4 more needed by the likeable Spaniard. One of the great attractions here in Jeddah is King Fahd's fountain, which I have actually seen in operation. It is remarkable. I thought I'd seen a very big fountain in Fountain Hills, actually, in Arizona. But this one, it's the world's tallest at 1,024 feet. Water goes into the air over 1,000 feet. Incredible.
Can that be seen from our hotel room?
I've seen it on the way to a meal when we first arrived here on Sunday.
The first night I arrived, I thought I saw the same thing.
It's my second visit to Saudi Arabia. My first was at the tail end of last year when we came out for the Riyadh season World Masters of Snooker, which featured all of the top players in the game and was won by Ronnie O'Sullivan. The atmosphere on the finals night, he beat Luca Bracel to capture the title. The atmosphere was simply terrific, and of course O'Sullivan rose to the occasion, as he normally does.
Oh, the 9 was headed right behind the 1. 2 dressed up in the lower right. Look at the 9 get kissed by the 6. Will that have an effect on this rack? Most likely not. The only work I see is possibly from the 6 to the 7. He's got a little work to do. The 5 to the 6 could be tricky.
Contrasting 2s. The one in the previous rack was superb. That one was unmissable.
Yeah, and I feel like he came a fraction short there. He'll manage. Come one rail out below the 5, just like so. Taking a look, is he better off almost stopping right there? Yeah, not bad. Wants to avoid any contact with the 9 here.
I can tell you, by the way, and I know Scott will be interested in this, we've just had the news about our last match of the day on table 1. It will be Chris Melling against Elliot Sanderson.
Yeah, that'll be entertaining, to say the least. He came too far here. He's got a lot of work now, Phil, to get back down here for the 7. Wanted to avoid the 9. That's probably why he put a little more into it. But he's got a real poor angle. If he goes forward, he's going to flirt with the 8 and 9. That's what he's concerned about. I feel like he got as much out of that as he could. He's landed on the rail. Better put all your focus into knocking this down.
Seven in, another tester on the 8. And there's just a thought in my mind, this one might go astray. Let's just see how still he is on the shot. That's the most important thing.
Well, you called it, Phil. You called it. He was worried about where the 9 was going to go. Never felt comfortable.
Technically, sometimes Alcaide is led down by movement on that particular kind of mammoth shot. He could well have been 3 adrift, Jayson Shaw. As it is, what a bonus for him. The missed 8 ball from Alcaide is good news for the Scot. It's now 7-6. So the second wave of last 32 matches have begun. No Kioi leading Zhao Grio 2-1. Piers Labutis and Wojciech Szewczyk are just getting their match underway. Actually, Labutis is 2-0 up. Victor Zielinski and Ralph Souquet in their first rack. Eklund Kachi inching ahead of BJ Ussery at 6-3. Jeffrey Ignacio and Patrick Gonzalez 2-2. Johan Chua 7-4 now over Max Lechner. It's 6-6. Mohamed Soufi and Bada Alawadi. Alawadi fighting back with gusto. Lee Van Cortese 7-6 over Dang Jinhu. Mickey Kraus 8-6 over Billy Thorpe, and I've left the most interesting scoreline till last. Mark Beisterbosch 8-3 up on Ko Ping Chung.
Yeah, another favorite of the tournament, trailing big time.
Of course, if Ko Ping Chung and Shaw both lose, it would mean that 3 of the world's top 5 in the World Nineball Tour rankings are out. The man at the top of the tree, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, beaten this afternoon by Mickey Kraus, and that means, regardless of who wins the title, whoever's left, whoever lifts that trophy on Saturday will be a potential world number 1. Maybe, you never know, someone who finishes second, but it's going to be a change.
Yeah, and those players being defeated just gives people an idea of the depth of talent the World Nineball Tour has. Shaw come around, made contact with the 7 fill, not going his way, but you've got to feel like he got fortunate to win the last game. He overcut the 2 a little bit. Shaw definitely seems irritated.
Yeah, it just seems to me he's not been in the ideal headspace from the start, and yet he's still only 1 rack behind. Just going back to what I said about the World Tour rankings, whoever wins the championship will be number 1 guaranteed. I've just done the mathematics.
Yeah, and you and Michael McMullen were talking about that at the beginning of this event.
Can you imagine if it were to come down to Hill? The tension, the pressure, the importance.
Yeah, this event, and I've said this on social media, on my own pages, this event is life-changing. If somebody who hasn't had a lot of success in the past happens to win this, it will change their lives forever. Not just because of the money. There's potential deals in the future. You're locked in as number 1 player in the world. I think you're guaranteed a spot on either side of Team Europe or Team USA.
Yeah, and of course for Europe it means Reyes Cup and Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, just
the Whirlpool Masters, put that in your diary.
Right, the benefits are massive.
But of course, because on the main table where the semi-finals and final will be played, because there's a shot clock there, there's going to be no procrastination, even if it comes down to Hill. Make up your mind. Make that life-changing decision quickly.
I think that's the way it should be. Well, this was... Why? I don't don't know. I don't know if he could do more, but he sure seems like it with his body language. I don't know what has gotten into Jayson Shaw. The headspace, not accurate.
Can give you some more information about the forthcoming attractions on the main TV table next. After Sufi's game, it will be Joshua Filler against Oscar Dominguez. And if you're a fan of Shane Van Boening, well, the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel is the one for you, because Van Boening is on table 2 next against Alexander Kazakis in a repeat of the World Masters final, when extraordinarily Kazakis won 9-0. That was over in Gibraltar. I'll never forget it. He played very poorly, even though he won his semi-final, and yet he went out in the final and blanked SVB.
No, look at this for Shaw. That could have caught a piece of the 4, maybe a piece of the 8. It just comes right on through. Alcaide can't be mad. Really, Phil, one big shot away from a 2-game lead again.
I think Jayson Shaw was shaking his head there because he thought that Alcaide had maybe overcooked the cue ball a little, and it might have gone behind the 9, but it hasn't.
Yeah, you want to be on the low side of the 4, so he could get closer to the 5. He doesn't want to have to contend with the 7, 8, and 9 here. Seems to be the story. Now, you don't want to overrun your work on the 6 either. Don't let up on this shot. Yeah, well handled there, Phil.
Again, though, I just have that vibe I had in the previous rack when he missed the 8. This is not a given, this clearance.
Well, the 8 does pass in the lower right. So I think if there's a blunder, it's going to be now. And he's going to come all the way around now, I believe, unless he can miss the 8 and draw 1 rail over. Pretty natural to go forward.
Jayson Shaw has never been on level terms with David Alcaide. And that is going to remain the case. Alcaide led 3-0, 4-1, 5-1. Now, 3 away from his goal of reaching the last 16. Same applies to Mickey Kraus, 8-6 up on Billy Thorpe. Lee Van Corteza and Dang Junho, 7-7. 6-all Mohamed Sufi and Bada Alawadi. Johan Chua doubling up on Max Lechner now at 8-4. Jeffrey Ignacio in the second wave of matches, 3-2 up on Patrick Gonzalez. 6-3 for Eklund Kachi over BJ Ussery. 9-3 now for Mark Beisterbosch over the Koping Chung. The shocks just keep on coming. Piers Labutis 2-1 over Wojciech Szewczyk. early days, Victor Zielinski and Ralph Souquet, they've shared the first couple of racks, and Naoki Oi leads Jacques Rio 3-2. He's a jokester, Oi. He's great company. Some of his interviews in the past have gone all around the world. He makes everyone laugh, but out there he's deadly serious and a proper competitor.
Very competitive, extremely dangerous, Phil. And you talk about the last 16, and I can't help but continue to look at it. 15,000 guaranteed to the last 16. That's like winning most of the big events in the United States. Big money here. Is he going to get a look at the blue?
The 6, I think, is blocking Alcaide.
Yeah, and he's weighing this out. Push out against a guy like Shaw, with the 2 looming over the top right. His percentages might just be better. Jumping at it. Although he does have to get down here for the 3 if he does make this. Well, Phil, he's going to have a window.
Yes, a window of opportunity. Wow.
Yeah, so notice the purple 5, the 8, and the 4 close together. His concern here is getting too far up. Because if he cuts the 4, he's going to have to go into the 8. So if he does get a little bit high, he'll probably have to play the cue ball with a low off the 8. Oh, pretty snazzy.
So David Alcaide saw that 5-1 lead reduced to 7-6. Is he benefiting from a second wind?
Yeah, he's going to have to catch the 8 full. He's going to draw off of it. Oh, everything rosy for Alcaide. Oof, caught that thin.
The first Spanish player to represent Europe in the Mosconi Cup. He's about to re-establish a 3-rack cushion. 9-6. Well run out, David Alcaide. He has gone deep in the World Championship before. 3 years ago, he was a semi-finalist. Last year, though, did nothing of great note. Beaten in the last 64 by Wojciech Szewczyk. And talking of Szewczyk, the Pole, he's playing right now 2-all with Piers Labutis after losing the first 2 racks. 7-3 for Eklund Kachi over BJ Ussery. And Mohamed Soufi is back in front at 7-6 against Bada Alawadi. Also in front, Dang Jinhu, 8-7. And Mickey Krause stretching away, 9-6 up on Billy Thorpe. Thorpe made such a bright start.
Yeah, a little unexpected, but Mickey's just stayed solid this whole event. Not a big surprise to me how Mickey's played. And there goes the one again, Phil. Oh, and the two catches the point. It might get him a shot on the two. The overhead tells me different. And have a look at Jayson Shaw there. It's kind of how he's looked the whole match. Just not fully invested.
I think you used the word earlier on, which to me best applies. He seems irritated.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yes, we're not body language experts, but we know enough to suggest that way Shaw is sitting, he's not exactly happy with life. Certainly not happy with the way things are going in this match, or indeed the way he's performing. In general, I believe. The one thing you can't legitimately complain about is David Alcaide's pace of play, which for me has been perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I don't think Alcaide's played slow by any means this match. I think if there was a shot clocking implemented here, it wouldn't affect either player. Clearly never going to affect Shaw, but Alcaide, none whatsoever in my opinion.
The primary objective for Jayson Shaw is to keep Alcaide off the hill.
Yeah, and I'm just being honest. I'm friends with Jayson, I'm friends with Alcaide, but I'm not impressed with Jayson's body language here. Well, this is what he's great at. It held up.
That pendulum has been busy this evening, overworked, swinging one way then the other.
Oh, pretty cute. Opened the purple up. Got a good line on the 3, just a drop down for the 4. Didn't want to be below the 4 though. What does the 5-8 look like? What he's looking at now. A little lazy getting on this 4, in my opinion. Just put a little more attention to detail. If you stay above it, you don't have to go through all of this. This is probably the most time we've seen him take throughout this match. maybe starting to realize the gravity of what's really at stake.
Yes, on the horns of a shot selection dilemma. You don't see Jayson Shaw, as Scott said, you don't see him take this amount of time on shots very often. I think, though, it was worth the wait. Could have done with more pace on the cue ball slightly, but wasn't bad.
No, I really do like the shot he played there, Phil. I agree with you fully.
He's always been playing catch-up. But we've seen over the course of the last few years on the World Nineball Tour several matches where a player, the only time they're in front is right when it matters most, at the end. He is not to be written off. Do so at your peril. A much-needed rack falls to Jayson Shaw. David Alcaide's lead is now 9-7. I can tell you a couple of players are on the hill, one rack away from the last 16. Mickey Kraus, 10-6 up on Billy Thorpe. Mark Bosch 10-4 up on the reigning US Open champion Ko Ping Chung. Eklund Kachi seems to be in control now against BJ Usuri at 8-3. Jeffrey Ignacio 4-3 over Patrick Gonzalez. Johan Chua 8-6 over fighting Max Lechner. 8-6 also for Mohamed Soufi against Bada Alawadi. And Lee Van Corteza and Dang Junhu can't be separated. 8 racks each. The very latest from the main table. Mohamed Soufi has just tucked another rack away. 9-6 up now on Alawadi. Mohamed Soufi's father, who he hasn't seen for, I think, 11 years. Not very well at the moment in Syria, and that's a great motivation for Soufi to do well here, to make his dad proud. We're all proud of Soufi, all of us in the pool community.
Yeah, no doubt. I had a chance to talk to him earlier and really get to know him a little better. What a kind young man, loaded with talent. Uh-oh. The 6 is going to cover the 2 up, Phil, in the lower right corner. Does he go ahead and take it on? Can he even see it? Yeah, the Jayson Shaw that we all know and love would have knocked that down. Nothing easy about it. Just off the mark. Can't fault him for shooting it. It didn't look to me like there was something straightforward as far as a defensive play.
First player into the Sweet 16, as they say in the NCAA basketball. And Mickey Kraus, he's beaten Billy Thorpe 11-6. Thorpe started like lightning. Kraus finishes like thunder.
Yeah, didn't Thorpe start out with a 4-0 lead in that match? Yeah, I believe it was 3 or 4-0. Kraus winning 11 out of 13 games from there.
That's a cracker. So much about this match has revolved around 2 balls, good and bad. That was right out of the top draw.
Yeah, and there's a good chance he goes ahead and gets on with it from there. A shot like that Does a lot for your confidence. This needs to run. It's going to get there. And he's got two options. He can draw this one rail out, Phil, or he can punch down two rails. Most likely going to draw it one rail out. Oh, he can hold it. Pardon me. Looked like he had a much steeper angle there. Well, you've talked about the long ball with Alcaide at times, or we have. Is there a chance of wobbling this?
Not dissimilar to the 8-ball he missed in rack 13.
It wasn't clean, but he got it down. You've got to give Alcaide the credit. To me, he looks like the guy that wants to win more in this match. Long way from over, though, Phil.
Yes, the match and this rack after that. He cannot disguise the pressure he's under.
I think he can roll it to the top right and avoid the side pocket. Yeah, he's just going to draw this just above the 9. Yeah, well managed.
Lots of mountains in his native Spain, and now David Alcaide finds himself on the hill. He leads Jayson Shaw 10-7. That means the flower of Scotland in terms of pool has to win the last 4 racks. Dang Junhu in front against Lee Van Cortese at 9-8 in a nail biter. Still 9-6 for Mohamed Soufi over Beda Alawadi. 8-6 Johan Chur against Max Lechner. Jeffrey Ignacio edging it against his fellow Filipino Patrick Gonzalez at 4-3. Gonzalez beating Ko Pin-Yi this afternoon. BJ Ussery has just pulled one back against Eklund Kachi. He now trails 8-4. Mark Bosch de Bosch still on the hill against Ko Ping Chung, 10-4. Wojciech Szewczyk 4-2 up on Pius Labutis. 2-all Victor Zielinski and Ralph Suke. And Zhao Griot has turned it around. He's now leading Naoki Oi 5-3.
Yeah, looking at Jayson Shaw on that chair, he looks a little different than he did a few games ago. This happens to all of us, or it's happened to just about every player out there, where you don't really realize the gravity of the match until it just hits you in the face. And I feel like that last rack that he got out on, he started to realize where he was at. Is it too little, too late? Nice break there.
Last year's runner-up Mohamed Soufi on the hill against Bada Alawadi at 10-6.
Yeah, I don't know what line he's got here with the 2, but it looks like it's pretty natural just to come through the 7 and 4. Just got to avoid the right middle pocket. The next problem, Phil, possibly the green 6. It's never straightforward when you're on the hill.
The US Open kingpin, Ko Ping Chung, is out, beaten 11-4 by Mark Bosch of the Netherlands.
Wow, that's pretty stunning to me. He has to play good to beat Ko Ping Chung 11-4.
I think this week he's receiving a lot of guidance from a former commentary colleague of ours and a former Mosconi Cup captain, Alex Lely.
Oh, and I've heard a lot of great things about Alex as of late. Know him quite well myself. Did he get too straight here? Yeah, now he's going to have to come underneath. Thought he might get an angle where he could go up into the 6 or clip the 9. This is safer.
This is where the heart pounds. The palms become a little sweaty. So close, oh, but so far away. The 9-ball in the way.
Well, in his defense, the only way that shot could go wrong is if you catch the 6 full. If he clips it thin on either side, he comes away with a shot. And if he doesn't clip the 6 at all, he's going to catch the 9 and come away with a shot. Kind of hard luck there.
You've heard of Saved by the Bell. Shaw might have been saved by the 6.
Oh, look at how this might finish, Phil. Does Shaw have a pocket?
If he does, it might well be do or die.
Oh, big time shot from Jayson Shaw.
That's why he's been such a colossus in the Mosconi Cup. He's got nerves of steel.
Where's this going to end up? Ooh, not fun. Not only a very difficult shot, but he's stretched out as well. He's going to the lower left corner.
Undercut the 8-ball. At least it's run safe.
Well, this bank is reminiscent of the one he's famous for. I don't know if it's frozen or not, Phil, but if it's not, yeah, I don't know. It might be too close to that bottom rail to entertain it.
Yeah, the bank you're talking about on the 9-ball. Hill to beat Alexander Kazakis to become World Masters champion.
Well, he might be taking this on. Yeah, I thought it was a little too thin. It was so close to that bottom rail, Phil.
And Shaw breathes again.
Oof. Wiped its feet.
This is a wee knee knocker. Thumped in. Jayson Shaw continues on in his quest to win this World 9-ball championship. He was very close to elimination there. But of course, when Alcaide hooked himself on the 6, it meant everything changed. 10 racks to 8.
A little bit of hard luck, like I mentioned, on the 6. But you mentioned earlier, things have kind of gone Alcaide's way this match. Not in a major way. I think he's actually been the better player. What's Jayson Shaw do?
So Alcaide, Dang Junhui, Mohamed Soufi, all find themselves on the hill. Can Shaw pull back another? He'd love a wonderful layout here off the break. Well, the 1's in, that's the start. But the 2 isn't playing ball.
Yeah, and out of frustration, I wouldn't be surprised if he got out the jump cue here. There is value to it. Well, he's bringing it with him. Yeah, if you look at it here, though, cue ball tracking up towards those other balls, I just don't know if the value is worth it. And he is evaluating. Well, Phil, buckle your seatbelts.
He took the risk, he knocked in the ball, but he's not got the reward. Just caught that blue 2 a little too thick. So having to kick here. And he's one mistake away from defeat. He knows that.
Pretty good from where he was, Phil. Yeah, and he did catch the blue 2 a little too thick. Kind of unlucky to make that 2 and not get a shot. This is where Alcaide likes to shine, the tactical side. Does he chip the 3 towards the purple, come back down behind the 9? Or does he take another chance, go into the purple, banking the 3 to the lower right? Yeah, well, that was a little weak, Phil. He tried to get behind the 9. He caught the 3 way too thin.
Don't want to puncture the drama, just let me tell you, Dang Junhui is through, beating Lee Van Corteza 11-8. So a last 16 meeting between Dang Junhui and Mickey Kraus is set up.
Yeah, and you just get the sense that this match is far from over. Shaw, body language changing. It was like 2 racks ago I could see something in his body language where he just kind of realized, wait a minute, I'm here, I'm now, I've got to try to win.
Yeah, before the start he wanted to win 11-0.
Of course.
But this is the kind of situation, and I've seen this with Jayson Shaw so many times, this is the kind of situation in which somehow he is energized, he comes alive. It's as though he enjoys living life on the edge.
He enjoys the pain. We call that self-torture. Oh boy, you hit it quite well. How's it going to finish? Nothing straightforward. Matter of fact, the escape here, Phil, not easy either, due to the pink.
It's got the feel of a deciding rack. And for Jayson Shaw it is similar. Lose it and you go home.
Yeah, he's not too happy at the way this finished, and there's reasons for that. Hard to get away from this. You can't really chip the top side of the 3 due to where the 4 is at. Is he going to play the carom? Well, he got away with it. That was what I was talking about, Phil. If he chips the 3 where the 4 was at, he was at risk of either making it or leaving the 3 right in front of the pocket.
Lots of applause from the main table. I think I saw a handshake as well. I do believe Mohammed Soufi has beaten David Alcaide. I'll let you know when it's official.
Looking to come 2 rails heavy behind the 3. He'll take knocking it in the right middle. If he doesn't, it'll finish down here towards the bottom rail. If he hits it as intended. Yeah, he's got it thin. How's it finish? Wow.
In the last rack, the 6 was his mortal enemy. Now it's his best friend. Can confirm Soufi through 11-7. He will now play Max Lechner or Johan Chua. Lechner on a roll. He was well behind against Johan Chua. Now he leads 9-8.
Shaw beside himself.
He just needed a small portion of the 3 to stick out, to jut out.
Yeah, exactly. Even if he's going to frame at this. Could make the pink. He could make the pink. Well, that opportunity has passed. But look at how the 6 and the 7 have finished, Phil, with the 5 at the top rail.
Well, I think that's the least he deserved. Alcaide fluking a hook from a hook.
I agree. I just feel like there's more to this match. Or should I say this game. Things just got a little funny. Both of those balls kind of entrapped the purple at the same time. Does he take a chance now? Does he have the angle? Does he take a chance now at going towards the purple or maybe the green? I don't know. What's he got up his sleeve? I don't think the purple passes the 7. Definitely going to make things interesting.
Four balls lined up, but not how Alcaide would have wanted them.
Yeah, and the problem crashing into the 6 is if you catch the bottom edge of the 6 at all, like trapping it in the rail and the 6 at the same time, you won't even make contact with the purple 5. That's why I was wondering if you take a chance with the 3 going into one of those balls.
It was a valiant attempt. Shaw, though, will get back to the table, surely.
Well, he does have a bank, Phil, to the top left. It's pretty thin. I have to agree with you. I think he's going to get back to the table. Well done. This is what Alcaide is known for.
What a horrid hook. Okay, it was only a one cushion escape. But look what he's done. Jayson Shaw. This is the opportunity that Alcaide has been waiting for to deliver the killer thrust.
Yeah, and the crowd is really gathering around that table. One good shot, Phil.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Scott. I think the nervousness that Alcaide exhibits sometimes. There'll have to be 5 good shots, because to him nothing will seem easy right now. Practicing. Put it in the bank.
Yeah, no doubt he needs to maintain an angle on this 7. All too easy to decelerate here and somehow fall straight. Stay through the 6, come across, stay above. He's decelerated, Phil.
And again, look what's happened. Jayson Shaw rooted to his chair thinking, why is the world against me?
He was quick, got down on the ball, a little quicker than normal. Everything went awry.
For all of his greatness, David Alcaide, and he's had a wonderful career, he is prone to missing balls in the crunch. It's just a statement of fact.
Yeah, and he knew he had to stay above the 7. It seemed to me like he was feeling like he had a hard enough time just getting the 6 down, and that turned out to be obvious. Jayson, a man of miracles. Well, he slightly needs one here. I mean, it's not terrible. He could just, with left spin, soft kick into the 6. Just leave them both right there. Or is he too covered by the 7 to get to the right long rail and softly go into the 6?
As he contemplates, I can tell you, on the table closest to our commentary position, Eklund Kachi has just broken off on the hill, 10-4 over BJ Ussery.
Yeah, and this is the shot I was talking about. It's really all I could do, Phil. Sounds like Ussery might be on his last leg versus Kachi. Yeah, it's funny, Phil. It's not actually funny, but it just seems like reality's really struck Shaw the last few games.
I just think the way the match has gone, Alcaide's fated to win it.
Yeah, since early on, and almost just like here, as he just barely covered him completely on the green. Yeah, what a crowd around this table now. Oh, he's double kissed it. He's scratched, Phil.
I just think David Alcaide is fated to win it. I'll say it again. It just had that feel from quite early on, actually. Well, if he messes up here, he's only got himself to blame. It should be rudimentary. Don't overthink.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't overthink it. You know, he's just coming off a miss on a 6 that he's supposed to make 10 out of 10, or at least 9 out of 10. Now you've got ball in hand on that same 6. Listen to Phil. Don't overthink it. Well, he sure is measuring things out. You can't blame him. Well, he's wanted to get below the 7, Phil, so it's natural to come down for the 8. He's got an angle, but not what he wanted. So now he's going to have to stroke this ball. Could there be more drama left in this match?
Well, if he doesn't close it out here, you have to seriously wonder whether Alcaide can do it at all.
Oh, this is well struck. The lady, well, she might be singing now.
She's certainly clearing her throat, Scott. Even though he's racked with nerves, this 9-ball surely will find its intended target. It is Viva España in Saudi Arabia. These two are good pals. Jayson Shaw feeling completely crestfallen, downcast, disappointed. He was the great British hope, the great Scottish hope in this World 9-Ball Pool Championship, but those hopes have been crushed. David Alcaide wins by 11 racks to 8. He goes into the last 16 tomorrow to take on either Jeffrey Ignacio or Patrick Gonzalez. That match is 6-5 to Ignacio at the moment. It won't concern Alcaide, who comes through that one. He's just happy to survive the day, to survive the match, and to beat one of the game's premier talents in Jayson Eagle Eye Shaw.